So my topic today, of course, looking at contemporary economic and business issues in China. This is my subtitle, which is Transition into Modernization. So the background of the economic reform and the transition into modernization. So this is a picture of a very famous Chinese person. Maybe you have all known him. He's Mr. Deng Xiaoping. This sentence is his most famous statement before he started the reform. He said, actually, I don't care if the cat is black or white, as long as it catches the mice. This actually shows the principle of being pragmatic in Chinese culture. So the fundamental meaning actually behind this is let's not talk about ideology now when our people are still suffering. So let's first look at, focus on economic growth and, let people become rich so that, and make people so that they can afford for good food and good clothing, because before you talk about any, political things. As the head of Chinese Communist Party and pioneer of the socialism with Chinese characteristics, he started the economic reform and opening up from end of 1978 and beginning of 1979. So this is economic reform towards market economy, reduce government interference, and also opening up to the outside world. These are some timelines of the economic reform, but for time concern, I'm not going to go through this by detail, but here you can see, especially those red colors, these are the milestones of the economic reform. So the achievements that have been achieved so far. First, GDP growth rate. Professor Zhao just now also showed you a lot of data about Chinese GDP. This is just a very quick review. China surpassed Japan to be world #2 economy in year 2010. Actually, well, I think this, sorry, I would like, this is, yeah. I updated it this morning, so I'm more comfortable with this newer version here. Yeah, to be world #2 economy in year 2010. So this actually, you can see the data, GDP data from World Bank. Of course, now everybody admit that United States and China have become the two major engine for world economy. But if you look at the data, you can still see there's a very big gap between GDP of United States and China. And also, you all know that China is a country with 1.3 billion population. So if divided by the number of people, still per capita GDP, we're still ranked actually after number 100. Actually, I think it's 108 something. So we're still a developing economy, and still there's a lot to be done. But certainly you can see that China has been experiencing very, very rapid growth rate, especially after 2004 and 2005. We have enjoyed two-digital GDP growth rate. Even though in this financial crisis, the GDP growth rate had dropped, still we are having very, very dramatic growth rate. So there's still lots of opportunities, but also at the same time, we are also being faced with lots of challenges. And even looking at labor-intensive production, we are seeing now some of the investments are leaving China. They're moving to India, moving to Vietnam, and also moving back to Mexico. So we're also seeing challenges, and these challenges means that China has to start to look for new models of economic growth for the next 30 years. We cannot just copy the economic model that had been proven to be successful in the in the past 30 years. So that actually becomes a new challenge and a new task for our government and also for Chinese people. And if you look at import and export of China, total foreign trade increased by 85 times from 1978 to 2010. Of course, that also created trade conflicts between China and our trade partners. Also, there has been lots of issues regarding renminbi value, exchange rate, and there has been also criticism about, whether our government is manipulating renminbi value, and we are really seeing the renminbi value has been appreciating in these recent years. That actually put a lot of pressure on China export. And because of this, also have many private businesses in China that have been focusing on export have been closed down even. So there also had been a very, very serious problem in unemployment and in drop of growth rate in some of the regions in China. And also China became the world's largest trading power in 2012, according to US Department of Commerce. But actually, according to Chinese statistics and WTO statistics, still US is still the world's largest trading power. But this actually shows that maybe very soon China would catch up and become not only world largest exporter, but also world largest trading power. So both increase of export and also import, increase of import, which of course creates lots of opportunities for other countries. Foreign economic and trade relationships of China. This is a picture, a very simple picture showing you Chinese economic relationships. This small circle here, this is China. You see mainland, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Mainland with Hong Kong and Macau, actually there is this CEPA arrangement, which is a closer economic partnership arrangement between mainland and Hong Kong and Macau, which started to be effective from January 1st, 2004. And the purpose, of course, was to boost economy in Hong Kong and Macau after they came back to China. The main content of this CEPA, of course, was to open up free trade, to reduce a tariff, and even to have zero tariff import of goods from Hong Kong and Macau into mainland market. And also not only tangible goods, but also services, and also a freer investment environment for businesses from Hong Kong and Macau to come to invest in mainland. And that actually would make Hong Kong and Macau a very good stepping stone into mainland. Of course, that contributed to a lot to the economic growth in these two regions. And also, from September 2010, this ECFA agreement between mainland and Taiwan started to be effect. This ECFA stands for Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement, and the main content is also very similar to reduce trade barriers, both tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers, and also to promote, to lessen up restrictions for investment into mainland by Taiwan business. And also, when President Hu Jintao visited ASEAN countries in 2002, an agreement was signed between China and ASEAN. And according to that agreement, by January 2010, there has been a free trade zone established, free trade relationship established between China and ASEAN countries, which actually made the China-ASEAN the world's third largest trade association, only after EU and NAFTA. And also, China is also a member of APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. This was an organization actually initiated by Australia, and it was founded in 1989, and China became a member in 1991. Even though APEC is somewhat less binding. It's not a legally binding agreement, but if you look at the members and the coverage of this agreement, certainly it is the world's largest informal economic integration. Some years ago, like a couple of years ago, even some people were talking about whether there's a necessity that these APEC countries should start to initiate like Asian dollar, as a kind of rival or something to Europe. But of course, that's still a dream now. But actually, certainly, we can see people have already started to talk about it, and maybe in the future would be some kind of progress in this. And also, China also became a member of WTO in 2001, in December of 2001. Of course, by becoming a member, we made a lot of commitments, and also there was a 5-year transition period. By beginning of 2005, the transition period was became almost over. So if you look at currently the trade relationship between China and our major trade partners like United States, like European Union, there has been dramatic tariff cut, and also in area of non-tariff barriers, like there has been elimination of quota of license, but of course that also caused a very, very rapid growth of export of textile products into European and American market. Of course, that brought forward a very, very serious trade conflict in 2005, and under the pressure from the United States and the European Union, our government actually decided to readjust the renminbi exchange rate in that year. So multinational companies in China, according to statistics, over 400 of Fortune 500 multinationals have invested in China. But if you look at the real fact of China export, nearly 60% of China's export are processed in trade by foreign companies investing in China. And between 1990 to 2005, within 15 years, foreign investors' profit remittance from China totaled $280 billion. So even though China is becoming the world manufacturing plant, our workers are making very minimal income, salary income. Even though goods are manufactured in China, but they carry a foreign brand name, and they're designed, they're marketed in overseas, mainly, of course, United States and European markets. So even though we are a world manufacturing plant, actually it's mainly the multinationals. They are benefiting. They're benefiting, mainly from this. Of course, these are logos of some of the big corporations that have their existence in China, especially in our automotive industry, which is very rapidly growing now. General Motors and Volkswagen, these are the two major players. And actually both of them have, especially General Motors, they have decided to make China the strategic market for the whole company. They are losing other markets, but they are really making a lot of profit in China. So these are some of the selected largest exporting foreign invested enterprises in China. The data is 2006. And here you can see actually the list here. These are the major multinational companies like Motorola, Nokia, Samsung, and Sony, and like LG and you know, all these companies, and also their export figures. So these companies, mainly they're investing in China to make use of the cheap labor, cheap but also skillful labor. But because of the labor cost income and business cost income in China, especially the coastal lines, we are now seeing the movement of investment from the coastal line into central and the western part of China, and even some of the investment now have gone elsewhere to countries where labor is even cheaper. Like in Mexico, their labor cost is only 1/2, like 50% of the labor cost in China in average. China market, so China is no longer just a world manufacturing plant. It also is becoming a very, very important market for foreign businesses. So according to McKinsey statistics, the survey, China is one of the world's largest consumer market, and it is projected to grow strongly over the coming decades. So this is the per capita private domestic consumption, and this actually is the annual accumulated annual growth rate from 2007 to 2020. You see that the growth rate will be the highest. So opportunities in China. China is already the world's largest or second largest consumer of a variety of products. So in these products, China is the world's largest consumer. Bikes and motorcycles, shoes, automobiles, mobile phones, and luxury goods. And also in these categories, home appliances, consumer electronics, jewelry, internet use, China is already a world's second largest consumer market. These are mainly contributed by two things. One thing is urbanization. In the urbanization process, many peasants start to become citizens, and they start to have their own like modern apartments. Of course, they would also need all these modern means of appliances and means of communication and transportation. And the second reason is because of the emerging of the middle class in China. So China also is becoming a very important market for luxurious products. Like Giorgio Armani in Shanghai, actually they have two flagship stores on the bund of Shanghai. Also, of course, Chinese tourists, they're shopping like there's no tomorrow overseas, especially in those luxurious shops. Rise of the mainstream consumer. So this picture shows the rise of income in China throughout the years. So this figure shows the data of 2000, 2010, and 2020 estimated. So the pool of households, so the household annual income less than 6,000 is dropping. And if you look at household, annual household income between 6,000 up to 34,000, this actually, especially this one, from 16,000 to 24,000, this is the mainstream. By 2020 would be 50% of our households, of the households in China. Of course, now this calculation is based on purchasing power parity in China. So, so you cannot just simply look at this data and do your calculation with Croatian or a European standard. Opportunities in China market. So if the current trends would continue, nearly 1 billion people will live in China's cities by 2020. And the urban population would grow by some 350 million people, more than the whole population of the United States today. And some 240 million of China's city dwellers would be migrants. These are, of course, migrant peasants from the countryside. from the countryside. And China will have 221 cities with more than 1 million inhabitants, compared with 35 in Europe today, of which 23 cities will have more than 5 million people. So mega cities. Of course, this will cause a lot of problems and issues, but also at the same time, this means market density, and this also means huge opportunity for business. Characteristics of Chinese consumers. So what Chinese consumers like and what they believe in. So if we look at how Chinese consumers would make judgment on quality, first you can find that still like a brand name means a lot. So brands, well-known brands are of better quality. So people still are following brand names. Of course, this means building up your brand name is very important. And also price. This may be interesting, but Chinese people believe that expensive products are of better quality. Maybe, because we, Chinese people, somebody says that the Chinese are the Jews in the East. Because according to economics, if you don't put good resources into production, how can you produce good product? And if you put good resources, of course, this means your cost is very high, so you need to charge a high price for your cost and for your service. So if you ask for a low price, consumers may even, may not like your product because they may say, since it's so cheap, how could it be good? Functional buying factors. So these are some of the category of products. So if we look at them in one by one, consumer electronics, high quality is very important. Advanced technology, and the third one is good and convenient after-sales service. And if you look at personal care, good quality also important. Then good value for money and appealing effects. So face. Professor Yan is going to talk about business etiquette in the afternoon. He will also talk about face. Saving face in China means a lot. Giving face, saving face, raising your face is very important. And also food and beverage, good taste, very interesting. See, good taste, and then good quality, and then healthy and natural. So that actually tells you that our consumers are still consumers in a developing economy. Pay for safety. So safety is becoming a real issue in China now. Water, air, food, and lots of products. But interestingly, if you look at this survey by McKinsey and the result, 91% of the respondents said they are concerned about food and beverage safety, but when they're asked whether they're willing to pay more for the safety, 44% of the respondents said they don't want to pay extra, even though safety is so important. And 30% of the people say they are willing to pay like less than 5%. 15% say they're willing to pay for between 5 to 10% more. Only 3% of the respondents say they are willing to pay for more than 20% for safety. And also how you are going to market your product and how you are going to reach consumers in China. Via different medias. Here you can see, even though internet is the impact is growing, but still TV is still the major means of media to reach consumers, and also recommendations from family and friends. So relationship is very important. Whereas if you compare this with American data, TV is still number one media of reach, but internet is becoming also very, very important. Very important. But why Chinese consumers, they are still reluctant to shop online, even though online shopping is really developing very fast. Why still people are hesitated? Because of these reasons. First, product quality is not reliable. Poor after-sales service, payment is not safe or convenient, because not so many people have online banking, and not so many people even have credit cards. So they still prefer to pay by cash. I mean, if any of you here are considering setting up an online business, selling products in China, maybe you should also take into consideration what the means of payment. Even myself, I would prefer to pay by cash when you deliver the goods to me. I open it and check and say, yes, okay, pay you cash. That's the means that I mean all payments that I personally like the best. Also, after 30 years of reform, we say that actually private in our whole economy, private economy and foreign invested economy now accounts for more than 70% of our total economy. And the opening up and the economic reform also encouraged Chinese entrepreneurs to emerge. So breaking of the iron rice bowl, people are no longer safe in terms of you have a job that is that will give you security for the lifetime, and your organization will be responsible for everything, for yourself, for your family, for your kids' education, for health care, for everything, even for like after retirement. But the breaking of the iron rice bowl, that of course that means people have to be more independent and they have to work harder. Also at the same time, it also allows employment freedom. Before that, when you sign contract with your employer, it's like I shouldn't use this term, but it's like slavery. It's very difficult for you to break up from your organization. But because of this, people have more freedom in employment and in self-employment. And also there has been increased market opportunities which provide the soil for cultivating small and medium enterprises. And more entrepreneurs have been encouraged. That actually greatly helped employment in the long run. So this is an interesting comparison between the traditional Chinese and Western best practice. So objective of Chinese entrepreneurs, I mean, at least when they started their business at the beginning, the objective was to serve the family. Of course, Western world, because of the financing of the business, mainly, of course, to serve the stockholders. Financial data, which in China is in private business, still private and secretive. Of course, if you are listed, you have to publicize. And in the Western world, it's more, transparent and up to auditing. Financing source, mainly family and friends. And our government now is actually trying to develop mechanisms to promote private financing. But because the state-owned banks, they are more in favor of big corporations. So small, even mini businesses, for these small and mini businesses, it's very difficult for them to finance their business. So they have to borrow from their family or friends. Of course, there are also so-called like underground financing. Now, actually, government now is looking at further reform in the financial sector and to promote private financing. Of course, in the Western world, because of many more years of market economy, the environment is much better. So you have lots of sources where you can finance your business, longevity. So it's family obligation, but also because it is very much family run. Lots of businesses still they focus a lot on their internal relationship. It's still like family oriented and family managed. So the overall longevity is not that long for private business in China. Average 5 years. 5 years. Of course, in the Western world, you see lots of merging, consolidation, all this rearrangement. Sales also based on family network. Executive recruitment also, very much relationship-based and family-based. Time horizon, of course, if the business can be successful, of course, they have a long-term view because, this is part of the family business, and the family tree would carry on forever. These are China's 2007 billionaires. And you see some private people in China. They can be really very rich because of the economic reform. And this person, Chen Tianqiao, he started a business and he became the second president of the company. And it is actually interactive entertainment company selling mainly games. But like him, there are also now more and more people. Actually, this figure is growing. These millionaires, even billionaires, even like in terms of US dollars in China. Okay. Of course, you know, with the emerging of this middle class and also of this extra rich class, we are also seeing the gap, increasing gap between the rich and the poor. That actually becomes a very big challenge to our government, because that if it not dealt with in a proper way, that would actually have a bad impact on the stability of the society. Okay, so hope I'm not on time.
The television ads and the internet.
Actually, this one, the source can be found by you know, Google, the internet. The fact is, China, even though we say that it is already a market economy, but still it is a mixed economy. So even like people's understanding about this servicing and you know, this still not many people would understand this. So it's actually not that easy to collect the data. And most of the cases, this data, maybe they are not precise data. But what they do is they would give you a hint. They give you a rough idea of the trend. Even GDP number can be changed many times.
Yeah, my question would be, where do you see this in 5 years' time? What we hear in the West is a lot about young people who spend a lot of time on the internet. And also now the more and more people in half of the population has access to internet. So one could imagine that in a few years' time, 5 years' time, maybe this will change somewhat.
Yes, that's true. Actually, the new generation of Chinese, they are not much different from Americans. You say we're becoming westernized, and even like you can even say we're becoming Americanized. So the young generation, they're you know, like they start work after graduation, and if they find a good partner, they decide to marry. They would borrow money from the bank to buy an apartment, to buy a car, and they have to pay back the loans in the next 30, 40 years. So like they're borrowing. They're really, you know, borrowing a lot from the future just to enjoy the current life. Of course, their parents or their grandparents may disagree with this, but you really see the society is also changing. And also, if you look at internet number of citizens, internet citizens, the young generation, we realize that now in China, if you are targeting on the young consumers, you have to make use of internet, because now young people, they don't read newspapers. They even don't watch TV, and even they don't, with this iPhone, iPad, even they wouldn't even like open up their laptop. Recently, there was a very, very interesting thing. That's actually a program in TV, and they were asking various different questions. The first question was, how many times actually, do you open your TV at night? And now they're asking how many times do you turn on your laptop at night? And people even don't turn on their laptop. What they're doing is they're playing with their iPad, their iPhone, so this mobile technology, mobile communication, even, maybe they will be the next generation of communication, even not internet. But of course, our government still has quite a strict restriction on internet. And also this round of Doha trade negotiation has been going on, for many, many years. And actually, this kind of trade negotiation now seems like they're becoming less and less important. Why? Because the next round of trade negotiation would be focusing on digital trade and how government should open up your market and should freeze the restriction on internet. Like you cannot use Facebook in China. You cannot use Twitter in China because of restriction. But now, because of a huge population, I think there was a statistic now, Facebook, if you look at how many subscribers of Facebook, Facebook is like world number 4 or number 5 population in the whole world. So because of this, many businesses, they are using Facebook as a means of marketing, as a means of even delivering their services. But when there's restriction of this, when you cannot have access to Facebook in China, this means the market is not open to you, right? So now many businesses, like especially, of course, these developed countries, businesses, they are now really starting to negotiate with our government, when you are going to open this market.
Zahvaljujem. Jelena.
In the printouts we got, there is one extra slide, the golden rules of China. Can you please explain that in more details, and can you tell us your opinion? Because more young and educated people are entering businesses or are running their own businesses, and their business logic is more Western oriented. How those rules will change in 5 or maybe 10 years?
Yes, actually that was in my slides, but when I looked through Professor Yan's presentation, I noticed he also had this page in his presentation. So to avoid overlapping, I decided to hide it. I don't know. So you want me to explain it now, or I can leave it to Professor Yan?
Well, I'm going to dwell on it maybe this afternoon. Yeah, I will try my best, okay?
Because this is almost lunchtime, also because I think Professor Yan would have, more explanation of Chinese culture, because you have to really understand the culture before you understand these rules. So I think he will be a better position to talk about this.
Hvala lijepa. Ima li još možda pitanja?